Hello. Today I will be making another, well, I can't really call it lower tier commentary anymore, can I? Since I've already reached the Pensacola on my alt account. But I'm gonna have another look at the Pensacola, which I last covered ages ago, so that commentary is probably not that relevant anymore. Now, the first thing you might pay attention to here, or what you should pay attention to here, is the detectability range, which is a shocking 15.2 kilometers. Now, that's with the camo. Without the camo, I think it's like 15.7, which is exactly the same as your firing range. So that detectability alone already tells you that this is a cruiser that won't be sneaking up on anything, anyone, ever. You're always going to be spotted. You're going to be spotted before even battleships are spotted sometimes. Your concealment is absolutely horrible, and it's one of the things that compounds the weaknesses of the Pensacola. The AA, of course, without any upgrades or range to it through perks or anything, is only 4.2 kilometers. So you're actually not as good as covering your fleet as the Cleveland is, but your personal AA, and if any planes actually happen to wander into your little 4.2 kilometer bubble, you just slaughter planes. You absolutely slaughter them. So for personal defense and for very, very close proximity defense, the AA on the ship is very strong. Now, you might see I already got detected here. Basically, just showing myself briefly here, I already got detected. That's how garbage the concealment is. You can see the dotted line that goes around me on the minimap. That's my concealment, so I'm literally spotted from their spawn already. Now, because I saw Königsberg, which is a cruiser, I switched to AP. In case he decides to try to show himself a bit closer to the edge, I might go for a AP pot shot at him. Because even though the Cleveland has this concealment issue, the guns on it are actually very, very potent. Now I saw Colorado, I instantly switched back to HA and just turned away. I'm not even gonna bother attempting to go for any sort of pot shots with an enemy battleship there, just waiting. What you have to learn quickly on the Pensacola is that you are always going to be prime target number one for pretty much everyone who can shoot citadels. Battleships, cruisers, even Russian DDs, if they know to use AP, you're going to be prime target number one. And I always go for them as well. That's because you are very easy to citadel. The Pensacola is thinly armored and it has a very large citadel. That combined with a weak concealment means that you are basically the favorite target of any player ever. Okay, you see here, these planes are going past my AA bubble, so I pop my defensive AA just to basically thin the herd. You see how quickly these planes melt? That's how quickly you shoot down. I think these are T6 planes. But he happened to basically fly past my AA bubble, so I of course used that to my advantage. Now he's trying to kill my fighter plane, which is a really bad idea. I mean, yeah, you don't want to be doing that. No. That's a lost fighter squad instantly. You don't want to be doing that to a Pensacola. I'm not using defensive AA number 2, just number 1, because unlike the Cleveland, where you often saw moments to use it because of the increased range, I haven't seen it. It doesn't happen as often on this ship. Now you can see I'm constantly scanning the horizon and scanning enemy battleships especially, because if you see an enemy battleship with guns turned your way, you need to be angling and you need to be actively dodging. This is the most easily citadelable ship in the game. It's very easy to get double or even triple citadel. So if there's battleships on your screen and you're spotted, always keep an eye out them, zoom in and see where their guns are aimed. But as I was saying about the guns, they're actually very potent. You got the gun configuration on the ship is a bit weird. You got like 5 guns in the front and 5 in the back, so it's like 2-3-3-2, which is a pretty weird turret setup. But those 10 guns are very, very potent. You have a very good fire chance, and in general you do high HE damage. And your AP volleys are also extremely brutal, because you of course have the US AP, which has a very high chance of penetration. So you can absolutely demolish enemy cruisers if you happen to land your volleys right. The accuracy on it, or the dispersion in general, is really quite good. So if your aim is good and your prediction is good, you should be landing basically plenty of hits, which of course add up to a significant amount of damage. You can see I'm constantly taking pot shots at the DDs. That's because, unlike other cruisers where you might worry about your concealment, you kind of you're kind of spotted all the time in the Pensacola, so I really don't worry too much about it. Most of the time I even assume I'm spotted. Of course I pay attention to my concealment based on that buff or debuff, but in general, just you need to play safe. And unlike other cruisers where you could be the first one in or the one pushing, you don't really want to be the pusher as a Pensacola, because even if you angle absolutely perfectly, you angled right sideways or very harshly sideways against an enemy battleship, you can still get citadel because your armor is simply too thin and the citadel size is simply so large. So in general, just avoid being the first guy in general. Now, I don't always obey this rule myself because I'm kind of stupidly aggressive most of the time. You see, by the way, I preemptively switched AP before I come around this corner. The reload time is actually pretty long on this ship, so you really want to be switching shell types a lot in advance. Like you need to take a 15-second advance, so you actually have your guns ready for when you want to use them. Now you can see that weird angle I shot that York at, basically from behind, but I still got a citadel. That's because the US AP penetration is just fantastic, and especially against these thinly armed cruisers at tier 7, even tier 8, you do a significant amount of damage and it's quite easy to penetrate them. Now you see the angle I'm basically kiting away, just straight away going away from them. I want nothing to do. Like another citadel on that guy, I couldn't even see him anymore, I assume. I predicted he would turn slightly to the right, that's why I shot where I did, and he actually did that, and instantly another citadel. But now I'm just gonna kite. Now the best way to deal with battleships in the Pensacola is, of course, to turn away, kite away from them. You have very good firing angles. You can see how tight this firing angle I have on the ship is. And whenever you see him shoot, you just turn away, so you're basically showing the back to him. And that minimizes the damage you take. Even if his aim is right on point because of dispersion, he's unlikely to get any large hits. So you can see I'm just kiting. I'm slowing down a bit, but I'm not turning my ship. Not yet. Okay, now it looks like Königsberg is pushing in, and you can see the other battleships have pushed away, and New York's guns are pointed away from me. But this is very important. Just because a battleship is lower tier, T5, doesn't mean it can't citadel you. As I said, your armor is abysmal. Oh crap, this guy slowed down. Yeah, but he's speeding up again, that volley is going to miss. Now the shell speed, of course, is nothing special on this ship. The shell speed is honestly quite lazy, so you have to take a nice chunk of a lead to get those hits in. You see, every time I zoom in, I scout the New York first. That's a habit you kind of need to develop on this ship. It's very useful in higher tiers when you get to the New Orleans and the Baltimore and even the Des Moines. Basically always keeping an eye out where the battleship guns are aimed. And it will help you in the future. And in general, I consider the Pensacola to be a bit of a like trial by fire. That wasn't as good as I want. You see, right again, in between volleys, I check the New York guns. If you're showing broadside like I am to a battleship like this, you need to keep an eye out for those guns. Because if he suddenly had decided to turn his guns against me, he could have absolutely wrecked me. Now I'm pinging these battleships behind me, who for some reason are hiding down on the I and J line. They really should be pushing up. This Königsberg really isn't paying attention at all. His tunnel visioning, a very easy kill. He was completely tunnel visioning on the ground DD over there. The Mayhem, I guess. It took me much longer than I expected to kill him, to be honest. I'm asking my battleships in the back to stop hiding, but, you know, I've talked about battleship players before, but they really are a rather strange breed. I have no idea why these guys are hiding in the back. There's literally 1k HP New York here. And the thing is, both these battleships behind me, I think it's a Bayern and a New York, both of them are very, very slow. So when this New York dies, they will literally have nothing to shoot at, and they're going to be miles away from all the action, because they're so far away. So these guys have literally managed to zone themselves out of the battle completely now, and they're going to be absolutely useless for a long, long time. I'm trying to ping them, like get them to move up, so they can actually shoot at something, but yeah, no reaction. They're just... I don't know. But I feel like battleship mines work a bit differently than the normal mine. Anyway, I push up. I see the target that's coming towards me is a York, which is a cruiser. So you see, I already switched to AP. You kind of have to be very predictive in the ship. And as I was saying about trial by fire, this ship really teaches you that you cannot show any sort of broadsides at all. And it's a good lesson. But it's a very harsh lesson, especially as you come from the Cleveland, and which is a rather more forgiving cruiser, although with the recent changes to matchmaking, I wouldn't say it's actually that forgiving anymore. With the reduced range and the way you constantly go up against T7s and T8s in it, I wouldn't really call it that forgiving anymore. But the Pensacola is definitely even harsher, because any sort of broadside in this ship gets punished so quickly. So it's a good lesson to learn. Always keep an eye out for battleships, always make sure you're angled. Oh my, what is this Oma doing? Oh damn, he's speeding up. That volley isn't gonna be perfect. Nope, he sped up. That speed up just saved him big time. Now, you actually take a lot of damage from HE as well in the Pensacola, because of course HE damage is reduced by armor. That's why, for example, if you're in the DD and you shoot the battleship, you often do like 0 damage or very little damage, and that's of course armor based. So any sort of HE spam on you is also very effective. So you shouldn't, just because you know you can take someone in a battle, you shouldn't be too cocky about it, because even HE spammers can melt you down. That was a decent hit in New York, not as much as I'd hoped for. Let's see if I can get a shot at this Oma or this hill. That's a bit of a tricky shot. Only one citadel, sadly. Wasn't the perfect aim. Of course, once again you'll notice that I will glance at this Colorado. I'll quite often take a look at what exactly this Colorado is doing, so I don't accidentally put myself into a bad position. I'm still using AP here because I'm just waiting for any of this. Yeah, once again, glance at the Colorado. Always keep the closest battleship in mind. And even if they're longer range battleships, but you see that they might have arcs on you or good angles on you, keep in mind their position and their guns. Okay, now I'm looking. His guns are turning. Okay, and now I know this Colorado is definitely going for me. As is this Pensacola, but the Pensacola is giving full broadside. If he doesn't invade, I think that was a pretty good volley. He had 23k HP, I think. Yeah, that was a Cleveland basically deleted off the face of the earth. That's how potent the AP on the ship is. But you can see now the Colorado is aiming at me. Now, something you want to do, you don't want to just panic turn if a battleship is aiming at you. No, you wait. You gotta be patient. And you see here, I'm just taking shots at anything else, but I'm keeping myself angled towards him. But I'm not going to turn. I'm basically playing chicken here, except I'm kind of the guy who has to turn eventually. But I'm waiting for his patience to run out. Okay, his patience ran out. That's good. I turn into his shells. And now I turn hard left and turn around. Because now I know his guns are reloading. And this was the moment I waited for. So during this 30-second window that the Colorado guns reload, I turn around and I start kiting. As I showed earlier against the New York, and as I described, when it comes to fighting enemy battleships, you want to kite and shoot backwards. Wow, really? Did I really miss that? Damn it. Omaha can be actually quite tricky to hit with its sailing straight away, because it's a rather small profile and the ship is very agile. Yeah, and he's turning every time I shoot. Because of the shell travel time, he's gonna have plenty of time to turn out of the way. Yeah, that's gonna be a tough kill to get. I think I need to put my attention on the Colorado now. Now you can see here, I take the angle. As soon as I see him shoot, I turn away from him. You can look at the bottom left, you can see the angle my ship is in, making me very hard to hit. I constantly create distance between me and him because I'm of course faster than the Colorado, and I'm constantly spamming HE at him. I keep this angle where I can bring all my guns to bear at all times, except when he fires. That's when I turn away. Never sacrifice your... basically, this ship, you cannot be greedy in the Pensacola. I often am too greedy in the ship, but in general this is a ship that doesn't forgive you if you get greedy, because you get punished so harshly, and because you have no heal, no repair, no sort of like extra thing that can bring you back, no smoke or something. What you get at the start is exactly what you have. You have that 34k HP and you have to play it absolutely optimally or you will get wrecked. Now I finally got 2 fires on him, but sadly he 8 torps, which is a bit of a shame because that was 2 unrepairable fires, so he would have burned to death there. Of course, if you get 2 fires If you get unrepairable fires and you know it's just a matter of time until the enemy battleship dies, then just play it safe. Just kite away and keep spamming. Maybe just even use just the back turrets and just keep kiting away. Because you don't want to be tanking in the ship. This ship is not a tanking ship. This is the definition of a support ship. You play with your team. Now in this case, of course, since my battleship both went full derp and they set at the I and J line, I couldn't really demonstrate playing with your team and letting your team tank, because they decided that apparently a New York and a Bayern are backline snipers. Who knew? Today I learned. But hopefully I still got to demonstrate first of all the potency of the AP. You see I have 12 citadels there, and of course how efficient the HE spam on the ship is, as long as you can stay alive to actually maintain it. The Pensacola, unlike many other ships, is a lot more about staying alive than it is about doing damage. The less ships there are on the map, the more efficient the Pensacola is. The less ships there are to worry about. It's when there's this big cluster, basically clusterfucks, of both ships blasting each other. That's where the Pensacola is the weakest, because you constantly have to keep an eye out for incoming shells and such. Some people want to use incoming fire, but I don't think it's a good habit to build. Well, 12k XP, 2.6k base. It's a shame I didn't get this win during the triple XP weekend, because then I'd gotten like 20k XP, which would have been pretty sweet. But it was mostly because I used the 50% XP camo. You can see how large of a chunk of my damage is from AP. Almost 81k just pure AP damage. Anyway, let's move on to the modules and captain perks. Now, as usual, I will start with the modules. Now, the first priority is absolutely the range. The default range is of 14.2 on the stock Pensacola. It's just a nightmare because of your concealment. So you pretty much have to take range first just to be able to compete. After that, definitively get the hull and the gun upgrades. The gun upgrades are huge, especially the turret traverse, but you also gain a significant amount of shell speed. In fact, you gain 61 meters per second to your AP just upgrading the guns. So that's incredibly important. Premium repair, I don't use premium defensive because I'm on my alt account that is kind of starved for money, but you could use premium defensive AA as well if you feel like it, or if you could with the CV. Module upgrades, main armaments, aiming system, and well, yeah, it's pretty straightforward honestly. Damage control, because I don't find myself losing rudder or engine too often, and finally steering gears, so you can actually angle and avoid those shells, since this ship is definitively less about tanking and more about dodging. Basics of survivability, expert marksman, vigilance, demolition expert, and of course I'm saving up for concealment expert, which I'm probably not going to be able to get for the Pensacola, but life would be so much easier if you had that at T7. Anyway, that was my short and hopefully sweet Pensacola commentary. I hope you guys enjoyed it.